You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Alba Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Alba.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Wait Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Hello, everybody. I'm Todd Alba, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board at 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Monday, July the 14th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite, back at the world headquarters in downtown Madison, blue skies above Zommers. I don't know how to talk now that I'm back in a proper studio after a while away.
Yeah, now that we're live on the Civic Media Radio Network, is
Yes,
it also rabbit hunting season?
I don't know. I think I was trying to say radio network and then welcome at the same time.
Probably.
I don't know. My brain's a little shorted out. Glad to have you along, everybody, on a Monday here. Exciting week ahead after a very exciting week last week. Was up in the Chippewa Valley on Thursday and Friday, broadcasting there with our friend and colleague Pat Kreitlow from the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Had a great time. Thank you to Rusty Volk, the entire crew at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. By the way, Kaylee and Sue the chicken have emerged as the favorite guests from those two shows, Summers. It was a good time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had a live chicken on the show.
And I honestly, it was incredible. As soon as I found out there was a live chicken, before we started, Todd asked me, all right, should we have the owner hold the chicken or should we have it on the table?
Yes.
And I said, you got to do it on the table because if it craps on the table on live radio, it'll be hilarious. It didn't. She was an incredibly well-behaved chicken. We got many comments from our viewers.
Yeah.
I believe Kurt Kohler commented, such a well-behaved chicken,
I know.
unlike the host.
Yes, unlike the host. But I was able to contain my bodily functions during the show, which is always a good thing. My sister Heather, who is our on-site production coordinator for some of these on-location shows during the summer, she says we're wearing the same shirts on Facebook today because, yes, if you're watching on the stream on Facebook, YouTube, X, what used to be Twitter, I have my 2025 National Coob Championship T-shirt. Because on Sunday, and this capped off a very, very exciting few days for me. On Thursday and Friday, we're at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. On Saturday, the whole family, mom included, packed up the van, went over to the Twin Cities, Minneapolis to be precise, to the Orpheum Theater, and we saw the touring Broadway production of Kimberly Akimbo, which Heather and I went out and saw on Broadway a couple of years ago to celebrate her 50th birthday. And let me tell you, if you get a chance, if Kimberly Akimbo is near you, or if you want to take a drive like we did to the Twin Cities, get yourself there because this touring company, which has a couple of the original cast members in it, the OG, as they say, fantastic. From musically, acting, the whole shebang, absolutely fantastic. And so Kimberly Akimbo, highly recommended by the Alba Galoy family.
Along that note, I got an email from the Pablo Center up in Eau Claire.
Really? Mm-hmm.
Book of Mormon is going to be there in November.
Really? Well, let's book the tickets now.
Might have to.
We'll absolutely have to do a show back at the Pablo for Book of Mormon in the fall. That's great.
I can't wait. I've been wanting to see it for a long time.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really a great show. So that's fantastic. And then, so we did that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we were back in Eau Claire and we went down and saw the finals of the Coob Championships in Eau Claire. Lots of people there, lots of excitement. We saw the third and fourth place teams square off. And then the championship game for the National Coob Championship featured two teams, one based in Minnesota and the other based in Eau Claire, with the international guy from Belgium.
Oh, yeah.
And last year, that guy came over here from Belgium, and they got second, I believe. This year, I think it was the Kabooms or something. Heather, if you remember, put it in the chat, please. But they were fantastic, and it was high drama, and the team based in Eau Claire with the guy from Belgium won, and it was a lot of fun. It was really, really fun. So maybe next year we do a day from the Coob Championship proper, and we get our friend Jane Matenaer to come along with us, and we'll set up right there. So I'm wearing, for those watching on the stream, I'm wearing my my 2025 Coob Championship. So many thanks to all the great folks at Coob up there in Eau Claire who made us feel at home and joined us on the program. And, of course, BJ Hollers, one of the two folks at Fireside Productions, filming a documentary. And you think, well, Coob isn't that exciting. But just like our friends Kelly Call and Sean Hanish with the Brewers documentary, Just a Bit Outside, it's beyond the sport. It's not just about the sport, whether it's baseball or Coob. It's about the relationships. It's about the humanity of it. And that's really the story behind the story. So looking forward to that. And thank you oh, here it is. Heather has got it right on the tip of her tongue. Kaboom Jr. was third or fourth. The second place team had a much longer name.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
And in fourth is Kuboom Jr., spelled Kubboom. Yes. So Kuboom Jr.
Kuboom Jr.
In third, Bebop and Coob Steady and the Kid.
All right.
Both of those teams are from Eau Claire.
Mm-hmm.
In second place, Chaska Blue Bell Ringers from Minnesota. And then in first place, the Wrecking Crew from Eau Claire and Belgium.
The Wrecking Crew. Congratulations to the Wrecking Crew of Eau Claire and Belgium for your National Coob Championships. It's really great. And it doesn't cost that much to buy a wood Coob set.
Can make one.
Could make one if you wanted to, but yeah, I would say check it out. It's a good time had by all, as Ken Lewis is fond of saying. So anyway, back here just for a day, Zommers. In fact, I have laundry in the wash machine back home. I had to do some socks and underwear, you understand, and some shirts, and then I got to go home as soon as the show is over and pack up again because I got to go to Wauwatosa in the morning. It's been quite the fiasco, let me tell you, this upcoming trip. There's lots of moving parts, and it involves me meeting Luke Mathers at a undisclosed dark alley in Wauwatosa in the morning.
At 10 a.m. sharp.
Yes, because Todd no longer has a company card. You understand? They didn't trust me with the money. So poor Lukester has to meet me down there with a card to pay for this. We're getting a rental vehicle because last year's is Jane and I. But we're very, very happy. This year, Greg Bach is going along. Well, when I travel in my truck, I only have room for one extra person. And so we had to get a rental vehicle. I think it's a Bluebird 1967 bus. But anyway, we're going to rent that from Enterprise down there in Wauwatosa. And then I trekked down to Racine at the Rockefeller Dancing Rockette Studio in Racine. You're going to be there. I'm very excited about this. They're letting you out of Madison for once.
It's the first time on a tour that I'm traveling. It is to another studio, but still.
But still, you're going to be down there, and we're going to talk Racine Kringle, ONH, I believe it is.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And Jane and Greg, we might bribe them to come on the show. And then we're going to, as soon as the show is done in Racine tomorrow, it's on to the Bluebird bus. And I'm just like the Partridge Family. We're going to drive up to Oshkosh tomorrow, or tomorrow after the show. Wednesday, Jane and Greg will do their fantastic program, Matenaer on Air, from 9 until 11. And then we'll do our show from 2 until 4. Then it's back in the bus. We drive all the way to Park Falls, where and by the way, many thanks to Todd Michaels for helping set up the Oshkosh site. And then Darla, our great manager up there in Park Falls and Hayward, Darla has got things all set up, and we're going to stay up in Park Falls. We're going to do the show on Thursday. Pardon me. Yeah, Thursday from an artisan studio. That'll be great. I think Jane and I are going to have a pottery off. We're going to see.
I hope so.
We're going to see who can do the best vase at the end of the shows. So that should be a lot of fun. Greg is going to do an oil painting, I believe, of a loon. Oh,
not bad.
Oh, Norman, the loons are back. That's by Katharine Hepburn from On Golden Pond. Anyway, that'll be great. And then on Friday, we're getting up at dawn's crack. I mean, at the crack of dawn, and we're getting in the bus, and we're going over to Hayward, where the big Lumberjack Championships are taking place. We won't be there at the Lumberjack site, but we'll be in the same town. And there's a powwow going on. We're going to be in a place called The Lot. Not Big Lots, that's an entirely different place. But we're going to be at The Lot, which is right across the street from Muskie 101. And here's the great thing. if you listen to us on WBZH, Buzz of the North, get your lawn chair, your favorite beverage. They don't care what you bring up in Hayward. Just bring a beverage. Bring your beverage, bring a lawn chair, bring a friend, bring a lover, whatever you want to do. Bring a pet. And meet us at this a wonderful little pavilion called The Lot right across the street from Muskie 101 in Hayward. And Jane and Greg are going to do their morning show there. They're going to have some cloggers, I think, then a banjo player that starts off their show at 9 o'clock. And then we're going to come on with singing lumberjacks in the afternoon. And
Beautiful.
so that'll be fantastic.
If you live in Hayward and have chickens that are well behaved,
yes,
you should bring them.
If you have live chickens, because we're going to be outside. If you have a live chicken, bring it. Now, I was going to say, this is true. My sister will vouch for this. I said, all right, we've had a chicken here in Eau Claire last week. I said, what I really want for next week, I would like a live bear cub. A live bear cub.
That may be a little more difficult.
at the event up in Hayward.
But it would be incredible.
But it would be incredible. And this is only slightly, it's really not funny at all. But it's ironic. According to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, this is a real headline. 69-year-old woman severely injured in black bear attack in Wisconsin's Barron County, which is not too far from Hayward. So a 69-year-old woman was attacked by a black bear near the town of Comstock in Barron County, according to the State Department of Natural Resources, which is investigating and searching for the animal. The woman sustained severe injuries, according to the DNR, but her condition is currently unknown. She reported the attack at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. So this is right in the middle of the day. She was able to call 911, take it to a local hospital. Here's the key. DNR wardens and U.S. Department of Ag staff did not know exactly why the bear attacked. As they began looking for the bear, officials found a cub in a tree.
That'll do it.
Indicating the incident involved a cub and a female bear. How many times do you have to tell people, do not get between an animal and their offspring? It's just nothing good's going to come of it.
In fact, very bad things almost certainly will.
Yeah. This ain't Yogi Bear. This isn't, the farm animal zoo, petting zoo. This is wildlife. And I don't care whether it's a bear, an elk, a moose, a deer, a skunk. Don't get between them. If there's little ones, oh, look, they're so cute. I want to pet them. It's going to end poorly for you, the human.
Absolutely. Like black bears, normally, they don't hurt people.
Right.
They're pretty easy to scare
they're docile.
Off. Yeah.
You hunt bear.
I have. Although we didn't see one then, but I have seen bears other times. And, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, get down.
Really?
If it's white, say goodnight.
Really? A polar bear, you can't.
Polar bear, it's just going to kill you almost
You're
definitely.
Just done.
Probably.
Well, I hope with global warming, I don't think Jane and Greg and I are going to run into any polar bears up in Hayward.
I don't think so. But no, with a black bear, just make yourself big and make noise. Like put your arms up and out.
The closest
and they'll probably run away.
The closest we'll get to is a large man with white hair. That's a polar bear. Anyway, we'll stay away from the bears. We'll behave ourselves. And we're going to have a great time. So if you're in the Hayward area, come on out Friday, either from 9 to 11 for Jane and Greg's show or 2 until 4 for our show at The Lot in Hayward, Wisconsin. Going to be an absolutely great time. Come on back. Talk a little healthcare in rural Wisconsin after this. Surprise, surprise. And Elmo got hacked.
I saw.
I'm not kidding. Come on back. It's the All Balls Show on Civic Media.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Welcome back to the Todd All Balls Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Monday, July 14th. Zomers and I back at the world headquarters. I'm back at the world headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin.
I've been here the whole time.
You've been here the whole time. Tomorrow, we'll both be down at Radio City Rocket Music Park down in Racine. Looking forward to nervous anticipation to that. Do you think anybody will be in sequins when we arrive?
I'm not sure.
Maybe I'll be in sequins when we arrive.
I hope so.
Zommer's playing some Elmo here. We're going to get to this. Elmo, the Sesame Street Muppet, and Jeffrey Epstein. This is real. I texted this to a friend this morning who's in the business, as we say. And she said, that is so fake. I said,
it's real.
It is not fake. She's like, OMG. Anyway, hope she's enjoying it old-fashioned up at Ishnala. Ever been to Ishnala, by the way?
I haven't. I want to.
We need to do a show from Ishnala. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So
maybe we can get someone to cover the board, and I can go too.
maybe we'll try. We're gonna get to Elmo in just a bit. A couple other big headlines. Here's what's going on. What a lot of people are talking about. Trump announces a weapons for Ukraine and gives Russia a 50-day deadline. So now Trump is saying, well, no, I don't know. I guess I can't trust Vladimir Putin the way I thought I could. So he's going to okay some Patriot missiles for Ukraine, which is really the only thing that can really protect Ukraine from these Russian drones that have been pounding Ukraine at night. So Trump is at least saying, we'll see if it becomes true, that he's going to help Russia out a little bit. Bongino, remember him, the big radio guy, the dude that was down at the RNC last year at Milwaukee, real tough guy. Bongino, a talk radio guy. He was now like the deputy director of the FBI. He's salty and saying that he didn't show up for work on Friday. He no-showed because he's salty about the fact that over the 4th of July holiday, the Trump folks kind of tried to slip it in there, no pun intended, that in fact, after campaigning on the Jeffrey Epstein files, this dude who just was proven in court that he had run a sex trafficking ring of young girls on an island down in the Caribbean or somewhere. There were all kinds of names of politicians and celebrities. Trump was on this log of the plane and also on the island several times. And it was alleged that Trump had participated in this, as well as other people, but it never came out during the Biden administration. Merrick Garland, nobody knows what he was doing, never followed up on it. But Trump said, you elect me president, I will release this. And Epstein's in prison, by the way. And then, all of a sudden he slipped on the soap and he's dead. And they say he committed suicide. But then they went to the cameras. Well, the cameras will tell the truth on this. Well, it turns out the cameras have, guess what? About 1.5 minutes of missing footage that the camera, quote unquote, malfunctioned.
And they finally released the video, and they did a terrible job. It has metadata that shows it was edited.
Right.
4 times.
Like somebody was splicing with a videotape or something. It's clearly, and Trump is on camera in an interview saying, he quote, he either got killed or committed suicide. That's what Trump said, unquote. And so now, and now Trump, now that he's president, and Pam Bondi, the Pam Bondi girl, Pam Bondi, she says, no, actually, there's nothing there.
Previously having said that it was on her desk.
Right. And now there's nothing there. And the whole thing's gone, you understand? All the files, the electronic files, the paper files, they've been burned, they've been whatever, incinerated. So none of this is ever going to come to light, the actual truth.
Well, no, they haven't been incinerated. They didn't exist. And then Trump said that the Obamas made them.
Right.
And now I don't know where it is.
So now some of these folks in MAGA world are salty because Trump had a run on this. And so Dan Bongino says he might not stay in the Trump administration because you got Laura Loomer, that whack-a-job. She's out there saying she's not happy. So some of these people on the far right are finally figuring out that, this is a fraud and that Trump isn't such a great guy after all. So there's trouble in MAGA world. So that's going on. What else we got? Over the weekend, this was interesting. Rosie O'Donnell, the former comedian, actor, talk show host, Rosie O'Donnell. She, by the way, now living in Ireland because she says she can't stand Trump. Well, and these two, Trump and O'Donnell, have gone back a long ways, not liking each other. And so now Trump over the weekend, this is real, tweeted out. And look, people are going to say, well, he was just joking around or whatever. Can't you take a joke? Blah, 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 blah. I don't care if it was a joke or not. It's the fact that Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, is the sitting president of the United States. And as sitting president of the United States from the White House, Donald Trump, over the weekend, put on his true social media platform, quote, "Because of the fact that Rosie O'Donnell is not in the best interest of our great country, I am giving serious consideration to taking away her citizenship. She is a threat to humanity and should remain in the wonderful country of Ireland if they want her. God bless America," unquote. Again, people are going to say, well, it just distracts us. I don't think it's distracting to point out that the sitting president of the United States would even joke about revoking someone who is born in this country as a full citizen. That's just sick and scary, quite frankly. So you got that going on over the weekend. I don't think Rosie has given the response the dignity of a response, or the tweet, or whatever you want to call it, the dignity of a response. So that's some of the heavier kind of sensationalistic news happening. Oh, and Trump now saying he's going to put tariffs again, 30% on tomatoes. People are growing tomatoes. Apparently it costs $5 for a tomato now at the farmer's market. No, I just made that up. But wouldn't that be something? $5 for a tomato. People are going to say, well, there's 30% tariff. By the way, I bought coffee. If Jane's listening, I bought coffee this morning at our friend at Wonder State Coffee for our trip for Jane, Greg, and people that come out and see us in Hayward, by the way. Pricey because of the tariffs. So everything's going up. Tomatoes, coffee, the whole deal. All right, we'll come back. I should get to this story by NBC. Rural hospitals brace for painful choices after Trump's Medicaid and Obamacare cuts. This is real. Come on back. More after this on the All Balls Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd All Balls Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. Zommers on the board on this Monday, July 14th, 2025. 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock from the world headquarters in downtown Madison today. We're going to be on the road tomorrow down in Racine. That'll be a lot of fun. See Jane and Greg down there of Matenaer. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's Jane, Greg, and Todd on the road. What makes Wisconsin great? We'll be talking about that in Oshkosh. Butternut. By the way, Butternut, the home of the butternut squash. And then on Friday from Hayward. So that'll be a lot of. By the way, sorry, my voice is a little rough. I'm not sure what I think it's the fact that I was up in a lot of northern air over the weekend in beautiful northern Wisconsin. Maybe I was talking to a lot of people, and thank you to everybody that came out at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Had Pat Kreitlow up there along with myself. You had Mike McKay from WCFW, the music station up there, the voice, the iconic voice of Chippewa Valley. And then you also had James Kelly of James Kelly News here at Civic Media. That was a lot of fun as well. So thank you for everybody that came out. So Zombers, I got to get my, have some lemon and honey tonight or something like that because I'm going to be back on the road the next 4 days. So I got to try to get the voice back. So I apologize for that. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. If you want to comment or call in, you can also join us on the Civic Media app. John in Oshkosh, listening on WISS, says, what are the Oshkosh stop details again? We'd like to know. No, we're going to be at the EAA Museum tomorrow, but I'm not. So I suppose.
Not tomorrow.
Or not tomorrow. I'm sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday, Jane and Greg will be doing their show from the EAA Museum from 9 until 11, and then we'll be doing our show from there from 2 until 4. I'm not exactly sure what time the museum opens because I think we're going to be inside, but I would assume if you go and you pay the admission price for the EAA Museum, you can stop out and say hi to us. And we would love that. Now, we also may be having a drink at the hotel bar at the Marriott downtown in Oshkosh tomorrow night. So that would be
Wednesday night.
Or Wednesday.
Or do you mean tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Oh,
tomorrow.
This time it is tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, on Tuesday, because we're gonna be getting in late, or not late, but I don't know what time we'll get in. 7-ish, 7:30. Anybody find this at the Marriott bar in Oshkosh? Jane, Greg, and I. We'll buy you a drink. Come on out and say hi. Before we get into this story about rural hospitals, our friend Gene in Eau Claire, speaking of WCFW, the tap up there. Gene, it was a lovely couple of days in your neck of the woods up there. What do you have to say?
Well, you did a really outstanding job at the
thank you.
Wisconsin State Fair. That was really great coverage. I loved it. You do a good job You do great on YouTube. I watch you guys on YouTube all the time.
What do you think of the chicken? The chicken was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was outstanding.
Thank you.
Oh, it just was so calm by your behavior.
know.
I thought, oh, this is a good guy. I'm going to be good. I'm not going to do anything naughty.
I think it was the credit goes to the chicken, but go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, I want to thank you for covering this important information that's going on in our country right now, because I've never seen anything like it. It's just destructive, psychotic behaviors demonstrated by our president and his administrative staff around him. And it's just unbelievable the way that he treats other countries, the way he's going to do a tariff, then he's not going to do a tariff, then he does it for personal reasons. It is just nuts. And then the economy, stocks going up, stocks going down. They don't know if they're coming or going, and the chaos and what's going on with ICE. And I hope people really pay attention to what's going on here and say, do you think we can survive another year with these people running our country, or are we going to get people in there with, some stability? So anyway, thank you for your coverage and keep up the great work.
Appreciate
Bye.
it. Thanks, Gene. Have a great day up there, beautiful Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Breaking news, Zommers, across the wires at this hour from CBS News. The United States Supreme Court has agreed to pause a lower court order that required the Department of Education to reinstate nearly 1,400 employees who had been laid off, while proceedings over the Trump administration's efforts to dismantle the agency continued. The High Court granted a request from the Trump administration to lift, for now, the injunction issued by U.S. Judge June, which blocked the mass layoffs at the Education Department. A federal appeals court rejected a bid to pause that decision while the Justice Department appealed, after which it sought emergency relief from the Supreme Court. The decision to lift the stay was, surprise, surprise, 6-3, with the court's 3 liberal justices dissenting. The Trump administration argued that John, the judge appointed by former President Joe Biden, did not have the power to order the reinstatement. So put it down there where the chickens can get at it in everyday English. Supreme Court just now issuing a ruling that says to Donald Trump, sure, fire 1,400 employees. That's just fine with us. An oversimplification, perhaps, but that's basically what it is saying that, no, this lower judge can't stop the Trump administration from firing 1,400 people from the Education Department for now while it works its way through the courts. Well, I mean, come on, let's be real. Once, people get laid off, are they going to wait around for weeks, if not months, I think I'll just sit here and knit for 4 months while the courts work this out, and maybe I'll get to go back to the Department of Education. No, they're done. They're over. So the U.S. Supreme Court saying to the Trump administration just now, breaking news, that 1,400 employees in the Education Department are gone, basically gutting and dismantling the U.S. Department of Education. So there's that. Good gravy. All right. This has been an underreported story, I think, across much of legacy media. This from NBC News, doing a good job here. Headline, rural hospitals brace for painful choices after Trump's Medicaid and Obamacare cuts. An estimated 17 million people could lose their health insurance, putting financial strain on hospitals. Says rural hospitals across the U.S. say they're being forced to consider tough choices, like cutting services for children or cancer patients, after President Donald Trump signed into law a sprawling domestic policy bill that includes sweeping cuts to not only Medicaid, but the Affordable Care Act as well, better known as Obamacare. Benjamin Anderson, CEO of Hutchinson Regional Healthcare Systems, oversees 180-bed hospitals that serve as the only hospital for many residents in rural south-central Kansas. Anderson said he's evaluating how the hospital and its broader health system will be able to afford all of its offerings of services, which include hospice and home care, inpatient mental health treatment, and a cardiology program. Services that are not traditionally as profitable, such as women's health and pediatric care, will be the hardest to sustain, Anderson said. He added the system is trying to see which programs can be saved. The cuts in the bill will also mean that hospitals will have to continue its hiring freeze, a move that risks burning out staff members already sustained from the pandemic and with high patient loads. The real test, he said, will come this fall when flu, COVID, and RSV cases are expected. Quote, what this does is put us at risk when the respiratory season hits, Anderson said. We're at real risk of wearing out the staff we have right now, unquote. Let me step away from the story. Right there, those couple of sentences gets at the heart of what's not being talked about. It's not just the cuts from Trump's bill that just got passed and signed into law. It's not just the monetary cuts, but it's the fact that so many of our rural hospitals, including right here in Wisconsin, are going to continue either hiring freezes and or not replacing people that retire, which means that the current staff gets overworked, gets burned out. And so when you have the respiratory season hitting this fall into the winter, a lot of these folks are just going to be, I'm out of here. Because we can't expect our healthcare folks to put their own mental and physical health at risk from being burned out. And we saw this here in Madison. Nurses went on strike at Matenaer Hospital. They got an agreement there. Wisconsin Supreme Court recently said that the nurses union at UW could not bargain because of Scott Walker's Act 10 that Republicans passed in the state over 10 years ago. And these folks are at their breaking point, many of them. What happens when people get their breaking point? Well, if they don't themselves have breakdowns, physical or mental, it increases the chance that they can make a mistake on their patients, which they do not want to do, by the way. It's when we go in, and you check in, you have to give your last name and your birth date. You get into the room, the nurse or the whoever it is comes in to take your blood pressure. Can I get your last name and birth? I need it again. And then the doctor comes in or the physician assistant, they ask for it before you get any sort of a treatment, whether it's a shot or whatever. Can I get your last name? Those are all preventative to try to lessen the possibility of a mistake in our medical community. And they're doing that to protect us, the patients. And now this bill by Republicans, MAGA Republicans, and Trump is going to increase the burnout rate at our rural hospitals all across Wisconsin. Back to the story by NBC. Rural hospitals rely heavily on Medicaid funding because they typically serve a higher share of low-income patients. An estimate from KFF, a health policy research group, found that Trump's legislation could lead to about 17 million people losing coverage due to the changes in Medicaid and the ACA or Obamacare. Let me say that again. This so-called big, beautiful bill of Trump's could lead to about 17 million people losing coverage to the changes in Medicaid and the ACA or Obamacare. More than 300 rural hospitals in the U.S. are at risk of closing down because of the bill. Democratic lawmakers wrote in a letter last month, if more of their patients are uninsured, these hospitals risk not getting paid for their services, the letter said. The bill includes nearly $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid, mainly through work requirements, as well as changes to how states are able to help fund their programs, known as the provider tax. It also makes changes to the ACA or Obamacare, including additional paperwork requirements to renew coverage each year. It allows government subsidies to help people pay for health plans to expire at the end of the year. The Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan agency that provides budget and economic information to Congress, estimated that nearly 4 million people will lose their coverage in 2026 if the subsidies were not extended. Here's the kicker. Edward Park from Public Policy Research at Georgetown said the changes to Medicaid pose the greatest threat to rural hospitals. But many of those changes, get this, won't take effect until 2027 at the earliest. But Park said he does not expect states and rural hospitals to wait until the last minute to prepare. So we're going to explain this when we come back, because you're going to see rural hospitals start closing in Wisconsin and across this country. And Republicans are going to say, well, why are they doing this? We'll tell you why when we come back. It's the All Ball Show on Civic Media. Don't go anywhere for a Monday.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Ball Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. Sommer is on the board to 8 minutes now before the hour of 3 o'clock. Coming up at hour 2. Little what's worse for you today. I'm trying to lose weight, Sommers. Spending time at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair is not exactly the way to do it. I don't need to lose like 75 pounds, but I could lose 15. And so I'm trying just to get a little bit more fit. And so what's worse today, dieting or exercise? We'll talk about that in hour 2. Along with, let's play the feud. Family Feud, big anniversary date over the weekend. We'll talk about that. Also, Jacob Mizorowski, the phenom pitcher of the Milwaukee Brewers, going to the All-Star game in record time. Mike Clemens was there, our great sports reporter, at the post-game press conference after he got named, and Clemens has some great audio. Going to be sharing that with you from Jacob Mizorowski in hour 2. Right now, want to finish up this story on Medicaid cuts in Trump's bill. The record cuts. And here's the deal. You're going to hear this from Derek Van Orden, Republican congressman in Western Wisconsin. You're going to hear it from Congressman Tom, There's No Breakfast at Tiffany's in Northern Wisconsin. You're going to hear it from Glenn Grothman. You're going to hear it from Fitz and others. They're going to say, I don't know why libs and Democrats are screaming like this. I mean, there's no cuts. They're just making this up. They're scaring people. That's what the MAGA folks are going to say. Here is why they're saying this. They're going to say this. This story at NBC today. Edwin Park, a research professor at the Georgetown University School of Public Policy, said the changes to Medicaid pose the greatest threats to rural hospitals. Many of those changes will not take effect until 2027 at the earliest. But Park said he does not expect states and rural hospitals to wait until the last minute to prepare. Recently, Nebraska-based community hospital said it's shutting down Curtis Medical Center, a clinic in Curtis, a town of around 900 people, citing, in part, anticipated cuts from the government. Quote, they're going to start making cuts now, Park said. So instead of a cliff, they're trying to cut now so they don't have all the painful cuts in a singular year. Kevin Stansberry, the CEO of the Lincoln Community Hospital and Care Center, a 25-bed rural hospital in Hugo, Colorado, said he may soon have to start cutting services for patients, including long-term care. Trump's bill does include $50 billion with a B for rural hospitals. Those funds will be distributed by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services for 5 years. Park called the federal funds, quote, a fig leaf, unquote, noting that it won't be enough to offset the losses for the Medicaid and ACA cuts. Stepping away from the story, you know what my teacher, Ken Lewis, once said in social studies. When we were studying China, he'd give us Confucius says. Confucius says. He'd say, Confucius says, man who wears fig leaf should not own goat.
Can you elaborate on that?
No, I just think man who wears fig leaf should not own goat. That's every time I see fig leaf, I think of him. So yes, there will be money. There's money in this, but you understand what they're putting in is not enough to offset the cuts in Trump's bill. And we're going to see this all across Wisconsin. We're going to see it across the country. And because many of these cuts don't actually take effect until 2027, the Republicans are going to tell us, oh, this is overreaction. But these medical facilities, these hospitals, have to plan ahead. So don't let people pull the wool over your eyes. Know what's in this bill. Know what's in the fine print. The Republicans, MAGA, Trump is sticking it to rural hospitals. And if you think, well, okay, that's just way up north in Wisconsin or it's in southwest Wisconsin. No. You go a half an hour outside of Milwaukee or Madison or Green Bay, you're going to be in a rural hospital or a rural clinic. So don't think this is going to affect you. We were just up in in Eau Claire this weekend, having a lovely dinner with Pat Kreitlow and his lovely wife, Dr. Kreitlow, who is telling us as an OBGYN that there are people in this state now who are driving over 2 hours for services. This is only going to get worse. All right, we're going to get to this in hour 2, I promise you. Headline, Elmo gets hacked on social media, goes on anti-Semitic tirade and says Trump is on the Epstein list. I mean, it's actually, I think it's funny. But the crap that this hacker put on there is not funny. But the fact that this is so Elmo has a Twitter account.
Which always just posts positive little things like,
right.
Elmo hopes you're having an excellent day.
Right.
Like, Elmo loves spending time with his friends, and you should too.
Right, exactly. But someone hacked the Elmo Twitter account over the weekend and started putting things on there that Elmo clearly would not say. Sesame Street's beloved Muppet Elmo, known to go viral online for working through grief with celebrities or just generally checking in with everyone, went viral yet again yesterday, but this time because he was hacked. And the hack led to some very not Elmo posts. Yesterday morning, Elmo's X account began posting links to cryptocurrency scams before things got canceled by hanging out with Tom. There appear to be 6 rogue posts in total, largely targeting minority groups, particularly the Jewish community. But there was one about Trump and Epstein. We'll share it when we come back. Elmo knows. Stay with us. Hour 2 is straight ahead. News, weather, and sports next. It's the All Ball Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Elmo hopes you come back.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.